Welcome, true believers. It's been a bit, but we are back because the MCU is back and it's the MCU proper. Yes, we did have a little Deadpool Wolverine out there, but that bounced all over the place, a lot of different multiverse. We are back in the proper MCU with our first real show, I guess, since Loki ended, with Agatha All Along, the first true spin-off series from something from Disney Plus. So we have got a very interesting journey. We are getting ready to go down the road of all things Agatha All Along, but I can't do it alone. I need a coven. Now, it's hard finding witches on short notice, especially when you really don't know any. But I was able to find a pretty keen wizard ready to talk about some Agatha. And of course, he is the co-founder of the Fandom Podcast Network, my brother from another mother, the one and only Mr. Kevin Reitzel.
Oh, I know the tricky stuff right here. There you go. Wow.
Wait, there's no purple, though. There's no purple.
Ah, damn. Still learning. Sorry.
Yeah.
I can do the little like hand thing that she does, which I think is.
But unfortunately, I don't think you can hit the singing notes that she does.
What's funny is I remember seeing an interview with Elizabeth Olsen, and it was like she had to. I think she worked with like a hand mime or something like that, where she had to like do these cool little hand movements, and then of course in post they would put the special effects in it. So I just remember that interview because she was like doing all this cool stuff with her hands.
Well, this is the True Believers podcast on the Fandom Podcast Network. And just a quick reminder, we are the podcast on the Fandom Podcast Network that covers everything that's happening in the Marvel and MCU universe.
We're back with True Believers, man. I like this.
And we're going to be back for a little while because we got Agatha running for a bit. And, it's been a slow year for the MCU. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, Kevin, because I think we needed a little break from the MCU.
Yeah. I mean, we had Deadpool and Wolverine, and that just took over everything. I mean, if you go look at the True Believers Facebook group, I was just like share, Deadpool, Wolverine, Deadpool, Sean Levy, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah, but we're back because it's Agatha All Along. We always knew it was Agatha. Now we know for sure it was Agatha All
Catherine
Along.
Hahn just killing it. Excited.
Oh, yeah, we're going to get to this. We're going to get into everything that is Agatha All Along, but we got a few other things to hit up first, including what else is happening on the Fandom Podcast Network. And we're going to focus a little bit on the True Believers side, because if you're just hopping into True Believers, again, the show's been away for a while. We need to recharge our Marvel batteries. But back in July, of course, we had the release of Deadpool and Wolverine, the biggest movie of the year so far, box office-wise. Kevin,
made a little bit of money, just a little bit. Yeah,
just a little bit of money. And we had our reaction show to Deadpool Wolverine. We also went back and did a little couch potato theater with Deadpool 2, as well as re-released our original Deadpool couch potato theater, which was a fun experiment because we put that out on Valentine's Day a few years back, Kevin.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. The excitement of this movie was palpable. And in addition to that, we had a great crew for Deadpool 2, and then getting the reaction to what was Deadpool and Wolverine. And then I felt like we could have done its own show on just the popcorn buckets. It was awesome.
Yeah, there's so many popcorn buckets. Like that's. By the way, I would be remiss, even though this is a Marvel podcast, the day we're recording this, it is Batman Day. I actually been up to a couple of comic shops out. They were doing sales on Batman stuff. They had some people dressed in some Batman costumes that were walking out as I was walking in. I didn't even realize
why. Okay, I'm not complaining. Why is it Batman Day today?
I believe it's we're following up on some kind of anniversary with Batman 89. I believe something.
Oh, okay, that makes sense because I saw some wonderful like Batman AI of Batman on Hollywood Boulevard getting his own star on the Walk of Fame.
Yeah,
and I thought it was pretty cool. But it was unrealistic because I know how dirty that street is. It was all clean. But what was funny too about that, Kyle, is I actually started watching the first episode of Penguin today as well. So
yeah, that hit. I'm sure we'll probably talk about that on Culture Clash here because I am curious about that show. Real funny side note about that. Colin Farrell said he had to watch Pixar movies while filming that because he needed to keep himself from getting too into a dark place while filming. So.
I can't even tell it's Colin. He's great.
Yeah, he's fantastic. And that, like I said, check out Culture Clash. We're going to be talking about the Penguin there. But guys, we do have a little bit of. It's time for Snit, Thwip, and Kapow. Let's get to some MCU news.
Familiar.
That's right. We do have a little bit of news. Obviously, there's been a lot of news about the MCU from the conventions. We've talked about it on Culture Clash, Fantastic Four, the return of Robert Downey Jr. That, and we've covered all that in Culture Clash. Go back to some of our prior episodes of Culture Clash, and you'll catch up on all of that. Kevin, I do want to ask you though, just real quick, is there an upcoming project? Because we've got obviously Fantastic Four, we've got the Avengers films, we've got the new Captain America, we've got the Daredevil show, which Born Again coming to Disney Plus next year. Is there a particular Thunderbolts as well? Is there a particular MCU upcoming project that we know about officially that you're excited about?
I guess Captain America, because obviously it's got Harrison Ford in it, and that bumps it up a notch for me. And I'm really curious to see where that's going to go. So yeah, that would be mine. What about you?
I'm excited for Captain America. The trailer looks phenomenal. I feel like they're going to get back into that Winter Soldier kind of feel of it, and I'm really just happy for Anthony Mackie to get a turn as Captain America and really get to shine there. But the two I'm most excited about right now are Thunderbolts, because Thunderbolts just looks like it's going to be crazy fun. Anytime you give me Florence Pugh and Sebastian Stan, I'm in, and I'm really excited for Daredevil Born Again with the Netflix crew returning for Daredevil, including the returning John Barenthal playing the Punisher in Daredevil Born Again.
Yeah, that is definitely I'm something I'm looking forward to. But I fall into this weird quandary, and I'm trying to figure out. Maybe you can help me out. So I'm a huge fan of what was season 1 of She-Hulk, and I started watching season 2, but it's really weird. It turned dark, and there's all these clones. I'm not sure exactly how to take that.
I would just say things are probably feeling a little Orphan Blackie for you. So, and technically, that's probably a prequel to She-Hulk.
Probably, yeah.
We do love our Tatiana around here at the
she's great.
podcast. But we do have some actual. I shouldn't say news. The rumors are floating. Everybody's been asking, when is Deadpool and Wolverine going to release on digital and physical media? Now, nothing is confirmed. We have sites, including Collider and some Blu-ray sites, reporting some things. We have not heard official word from Disney or Disney Studios or anybody from Marvel yet, but it's looking like the digital release of Deadpool and Wolverine might hit as soon as October 1st, with some steelbooks hitting October 22nd. Now, if you go online, we've got some pictures here, some possible mock-ups of.
Yeah, none of this is confirmed. We just want to say this right now.
Yeah. These are coming from Reddit. They talked about 2 steelbooks coming out. It would make sense. You've got a Deadpool themed one, you've got a Wolverine themed one, and then of course too there is the Volk 4K Ultra HD version, which kind of combines everything here. Again, these are mock-ups, so we're not saying this is the actual thing, and we do not have an official release date for the 4K Ultra HD as of yet. Right now,
I've seen rumors that it might be like October 22nd-ish. But
yeah, that's what I'm hearing for the steel.
Don't hold us to that. Don't hold us to that.
And the Blu-ray, the steelbooks that are coming out are strictly Blu-ray. Blu-ray.com, which also covers 4K things, is just saying late 2024 for the 4K Ultra HD. So we'll see. I know everybody is really excited. I'm hoping it's October 1st. What a great way to kick off the month of October by having Deadpool and Wolverine hit on digital.
I'm going to be in Australia then, so it's going to be interesting. If I can pre-order something to come here home, I will. But I will be checking out the JBs there and seeing what they have when it comes to steelbooks or what have you. It'll be interesting.
Without a doubt. But we're excited. Deadpool is coming. I am sure it's going to do huge numbers in digital and physical sales.
It should make at least like $50, right? At least maybe $100.
I'm gonna be bold. I'm gonna go $500.
I can't wait to get my physical media copy of Deadpool and Wolverine, because just gonna tease right now, people, you have not heard of the last of Deadpool and Wolverine this year on the Fandom Podcast Network.
Well, aren't we having that whole popcorn bucket special?
Mm.
I mean, if you look over Kevin's shoulder on, if you're watching on YouTube,
there you go, right there. Yes, baby.
But guys, we've got as much as we're excited about Deadpool, we need to talk about the here and now of the MCU.
Yes,
that means a little Agatha All Along. So let's phase shift into phase 1. So, debuting with its first 2 episodes this past Wednesday, September 18th, and with a schedule that will take it all the way through October 30th, ending October 30th with the final 2 episodes, 8 and 9. Agatha All Along has premiered. It's got people talking. The wonderful Catherine Hahn is back playing Agatha. She kind of stole the show in WandaVision. It was one of the main reasons why they decided to move forward with an Agatha show, Kevin.
Totally stole it. She was fantastic, and I will. Let me just say this: I want to be upfront about this. Full disclosure: I have not rewatched WandaVision, but from what I do remember from it, Catherine Hahn, and I remember her scenes. I remember she was like this thread that as a viewer, you're kind of picking on it, going, "What is her story? What's going on?" And then we find out, and by far my favorite part of that series with Catherine Hahn and her performance.
Well, speaking of her performance, let's get into the plot synopsis of episode 1, if you would not mind, Mr. Reitzel.
Oh, of course. Yeah, here we go. All right. This is episode 1, Seekest Thou the Road. Now, I'm not going to sing it, just so you know, Kyle, because I can't sing.
I thank you for that.
All right, here we go. In a crime-style television series titled Agnes of Westview, Agnes O'Connor is a police detective in Westville, fixated on a Jane Doe murder case. One night, a teenager breaks into Agnes's house looking for the road. Agnes believes he is tied to the murder case and arrests him. Rio Vidal, an FBI agent, comes to Agnes and helps her realize the Jane Doe she is seeking is actually Wanda Maximoff's body, and that Agnes is actually the witch Agatha Harkness, who has been trapped under Wanda's spell for at least 3 years. Waking up from a spell, Agatha realizes that her powers are gone and that Vidal, a fellow witch whom Agatha has history with, is here to kill her. Agatha convinces Vidal to spare her so she can get her powers back. But Vidal warns Agatha that the Salem 7 will soon come after her. After Vidal leaves, Agatha is unsure what to do about the teen whom she actually kidnapped.
Okay, Kevin, I'm going to go right to you. Your first reactions to episode 1.
It pulled me in because of one main thing, and I thought it was really, really smart. What I liked about this episode, even the opening credits are basically the name of the credits of the characters of this so-called detective show. It was kind of like watching the opening of like a True Detective on HBO, and she played this kind of character that's grizzled, and has a short temper. And I like that you get this kind of crime scene feel with a little film noir in it. And she's trying to figure out who this corpse is, but then she's realizing there's something else above the layers here. And I love the way that the episode started that way and carried through most of it. It was a really clever way, instead of just going into her just going, what's going on? Why am I living this other life right away? And I love that they had fun with this type of crime film noir, detective, dark edge drama right out of the bat. What about you?
It pulled me in for a couple of reasons. One, I agree with you with how they did that, because you're carrying right out of WandaVision and into this. And so it's just continuing the spirit of WandaVision by having it open in this TV reality that Wanda Maximoff created, and she traps Agnes in it, or Agatha in it. So I really like that aspect and the tribute it gives to the original WandaVision series by doing so, and it makes sense. So you've got all that. You see the characters who were citizens of the town appearing in this show. You get some introduction of some new characters, and it's her breaking through that spell in this first episode. That's what's so intriguing. It's like, when is she going to break through it? How is she going to break through it? And that's what kind of pulls you in and leaves you on enough of a cliffhanger to go, okay, so what's the next step? Where are we going from here? And obviously, Catherine Hahn is absolutely phenomenal. And I just got to say this too. She goes from looking really plain to looking absolutely stunning, real easy. And so there's that, and she's just
the makeup and the costumers, just even the cinematographer making everything look kind of gray and dull. And then like when she starts to make the turn, all that changes as well. Very clever.
And I love the scene where she's just I'm so hot, and she's just taking layer after layer of clothing, and you start realizing it's all costumes or things she wore while she was in WandaVision. Eventually, getting back to the black and white version of her, which is her final thing. She takes off, and then hello, birthday suit.
Yep.
And I love the aspect of when she runs out, when she's figured out what she's going on, and she's trying to figure everything out, and she runs across to the neighbor, and she mentions the name Wanda, and he's like, we don't talk about that.
Yeah, we don't say that name. Yeah, he's trying like not to look at her, all of her nakedness, and it's pretty.
I mean, and she steals that whole scene, and then going back and realizing that Vidal is coming for her, the luminous warning of Salem 7, and then realizing she still has Skeen in the closet as well at the end of the episode. It's just, it's got a great energy that pulls you in.
Did you notice how good the music was too?
Yeah.
The music was good.
Yeah. I mean, everything about this just pulled you in, and it's. I mean, like I said, it's a great supporting cast, and we'll get into more of that, especially in episode 2. But in this episode, it's all Catherine Hahn and her energy and her performance. It was the reason why she kind of stole the thunder of everybody in WandaVision, and it's even better here in my personal opinion. Yeah. So, but Kevin, with that, we did get 2 episodes of Agatha All Along this week. So, would you like to continue with a plot description of episode 2?
Yes. So, episode 2 has actually 2 names to it. It is Circle Sewn With Fate / Unlock the Hidden Gate. The teen reveals he freed Agatha from the spell and is wishing to travel the Witch's Road, where she could restore her power. Agatha also realizes she is unable to hear the teen speak his name or given any personal information. Needing a coven to open the portal to the road, the pair recruits the witches Lila Caldro, Jennifer Kale, Alice Wu Gulliver. Agatha also recruits Westview resident Sharon Davis in replacement of Vidal. As 4 witches and Davis perform the ritual to open the gate to the road, the teen sees the Salem 7 arrive and escapes with the coven through the gate, down the stairs, down the creepy stuff, and the creepy there. I added that last part, Kyle. And can I just say that Salem 7 in the cloaks and the witches outfit, kind of creepy, dude. Very cool.
We're going to talk about them a little bit here because there's interesting things with Salem 7. Of course, the episode ending with them beginning their journey down the Witch's Road. Yeah. So, Kevin, let's pick this up because we're getting to the point where you might have some questions too. But what were your initial reactions to episode 2?
So, I don't know anything about the character at all from what I've learned from these episodes and of course WandaVision. And I like that. I like kind of being in the dark about that. And that's why we have this show and have you on, Kyle, because then you can illuminate me of the history of this. So I like just going into it cold and just kind of enjoying this really fun, witchy coven thing. And I've always been fascinated with witches and covens when it comes to like, dark movies or Halloween themed movies or werewolf movies or Dracula movies and stuff. And you have the kind of this witches coven thing going on in certain themes. And I'm really curious to see where this series goes with that. And I got to tell you, especially with the Salem 7 that we get a little tease to, but also realizing that Agatha needs help here because she's lost her powers basically. And this road to, rediscovery, regaining powers, and how she gets these other so-called witches with their own little specialties, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah.
And gets them to join her reluctantly in some parts.
Oh, wait a minute. She gets 3 witches and Mrs. Foreman.
Yeah. Yes. Love me some Deborah Jo Rupp. That's awesome. 70s mentioned there. Yeah. And I got to tell you, dude, I'm just going to say this right now. I love the song that they sing to basically kind of start the process. and it takes me back to that wonderful panel at San Diego Comic-Con where they all came out. They were singing that song. And if you have witches and you're going to sing a song, this is how you do it, Acolyte. This is how you do it.
Oh, the Acolyte shot. Oh,
yeah. Sorry, had to do it. Had to do it.
Okay. And speaking of which, I want to roll back to episode 1 because there's one thing I forgot to mention. You mentioned the song. To play Season of the Witch and have all those cuts from different films in the closing credits of different witches. And I mean,
even the Lisa Simpson in the witch outfit, you know?
Yeah. How awesome was that for the first episode closing credits to do something like that?
That was great. If there was a perfect song to pick is Season of the Witch, it was great.
Yeah. I love this episode. I love the introduction of the witches that are joining this coven, this eclectic group of witches for sure. Definitely not what you would call your pick of the litter, I'm going to say. All of them do have some Marvel ties, which is into the comics, which we're going to get to in this. But what I love even more is they give us a mystery too. They give us what is going on with Teen, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But you have that mystery. You have also Agatha. You want to root for her, but then you see she's still working angles for herself at the end of the episode when she's like, blast me, blast me, blast me. No, she's trying to steal our powers. Come on. And then you've got this, the fear of what Salem 7 is. And there's hints of it through the episode as you see the different creatures spying on Agatha and Teen as well. And
then I guess you would call it the thing that they think that she has. What's that called? Is it the book or what is that?
Oh, the Darkhold. The Darkhold.
The Darkhold. Yes.
Well, they know that Salem 7 might think she has, but the witches know she's lost it because they know Wanda had it.
Yeah, it's Wanda that took it or had it. Yeah. So, yes, but the Darkhold.
It's an amazing way to set up some mysteries and then to end the episode with them starting down this road and the visual of that road. And then you see them taking their shoes off because they're witches and they're more earthbound to their magic via wearing bare feet, which we see, of course, in episode 1 with the body they find. Just so many little interesting things and such interesting characters. And you're really interested to see what they're going to do with this and what's going to happen. And there's a lot of questions about that. So without further ado, we are going to shift into phase 2 to address some of those questions and maybe some Easter eggs and things like that. So let's hit that little infinity energy and shift into phase 2. Kevin, I think we have some Marvel trivia and Marvel Easter eggs here.
Yeah, there we go.
Phase 2. I've done a little research, got a few things together. So let's talk about some of these things. And I'm going to kick things off with something that was straight from Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. As we saw Wanda use the Darkhold, every time she used it more and more, the black fingertips. And of course, then we see it on the body they find at the beginning of episode 1. Agatha also had this happen to her within the first in her episodes of WandaVision when she would use the Darkhold as well. Just a great little tie-in, but something that really grabs your attention.
Yeah, when they were showing that in the first episode, I was just like, ooh, the dark fingertips. That means something. I just couldn't make the connection at the time. But yeah, I knew that that looks witchy.
Well, and speaking of witchy things, this is the other thing I love about the show is how it ties back things into Salem and the old like the witch trials and everything like this, because the pendant Agatha finds at the crime scene and later asks Norm to examine is a notable part of Agatha Harkness's costume from the Marvel comic books. Norm even mentions it's probably from the late 17th century New England, aka when the Salem witch trials took place.
And didn't she also wear it throughout the WandaVision series as well?
I think you saw it more prominently towards the end of the WandaVision series when she was more revealed herself. But again, another mystery here. What is that lock of hair or that's in that pendant, and what does it mean to Agatha?
Yeah.
So that's always something interesting. But, and continuing the ties into this, the first letter of the book's title from the library card found on Jane Doe's body spell out Darkhold, which Agnes was about to figure out. The author's name, Andrew Ugo, is an anagram for Wundagore, a.k.a. the mountain where Wanda died, quote unquote, where the Darkhold was created. So they are tying a lot of things into Multiverse of Madness and everything that's happened with Wanda in this, showing you that even though we might not have Elizabeth Olsen in this series to our knowledge, or maybe like in a flashback or something, the Scarlet Witch, the fingerprints of the Scarlet Witch are huge in this Agatha series, Kevin.
I did want to mention on social media yesterday, I noticed that Elizabeth Olsen did show up in support of the, I guess, the Hollywood premiere or something like that regarding this. She wanted to show support for the show, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah. And I'm sorry. Elizabeth Olsen's not done with the MCU, guys. So, Kevin, I know that was back in that was an issue we had back when Multiverse of Madness came out. But she is coming back. We got more going on there, but there is still some more Easter eggs from episode 1 to talk about here, including this. In Marvel Comics, Nicholas Scratch, who when we see Agatha looking in this child's room and we see the name Nicholas Scratch on this first place children's concert choir. In Marvel Comics, Nicholas Scratch was Agatha's son. Agatha normally left Nicholas behind to venture out into the world which is when she became a nanny for Franklin Richards. Yes, the Franklin Richards, the son of Reed and Sue Richards of the Fantastic Four. Nicholas became a powerful sorcerer and villain and ultimately leads New Salem later on in the comics. Now, he definitely has that kind of classic comic book villainy, 70s look. When a lot of this stuff is written.
I like that name, Nicholas Scratch. That's clever.
Well, and some people are also, if you look online, I'll just throw this out there. Some people are throwing out the Mephisto card because Mephisto in the comics has gone by the alias Scratch as well. We will never.
We've been throwing Mephisto out since since when? When did Mephisto come out? Like when WandaVision first aired?
Yeah, a lot of people were speculating.
When are we going to see Mephisto? When are we going to see Mephisto?
I think we're building there, but there's still some things to come. Also, in episode 1, at the end of her battle with Vidal tells Agatha that the Salem 7 are coming for her now, and we see them in episode 2 as they arrive in Westview. In the comics, Salem 7 is made up of Nicholas Scratch's children. They become enemies with the Scarlet Witch and the Fantastic Four. As you can see, there's quite a bit of difference between what the Salem 7 we see in Agatha All Along and the original comic book version.
Yeah, I'm looking at the comic book version here. That is an eclectic group of people, and then I see the 7 that we see in the series Agatha. That looks a little more frightening to me. But can I just say, Aubrey Plaza?
Yeah. Evil, dark-haired, black-heart Aubrey Plaza. Very much hot.
She's so cute. I love her.
We'll get into more of Salem 7. If you look at IMDb and how they're cast, you see them with animal names for each animal that they represent. So they're obviously not going maybe with the traditional comic look of Salem 7, which makes sense when you look at these characters.
Well, let me ask you, as someone who knows this better than I do, are you fine with that? I mean, are you happy with that?
I am fine with that. Let's see. Where I'm at right now with this is this. I want to see how they play it out.
Gotcha.
Because the original Sam's Caravan characters, as you can see, they're outrageous looking. And they were very much a period of time of when this story was written, which was the late 70s, early 80s. So a lot of this is, we're looking at this. Maybe we get something kind of Easter egg where we see them in their original look or some kind of reference to that. But being realistic about this being a TV show, a Marvel television production now, probably budgetary restraints, and just the silliness a little bit of some of these characters. The approach they're taking, I'm fine with, and it doesn't bother me that much. Again, my biggest thing is how are they going to play this out in this series? And that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm reserving any judgment on Salem 7 until they play it out. But they are obviously making them a very large looming threat throughout Agatha, at least for right now.
Clever.
So, but there's even more trivia from episode 1. And again, just tying more things into Marvel and Maximoff. But
these are hardcore Easter eggs. If you know, right?
So the date seen on the library card also hold a meaning. February 16th is Elizabeth Olsen's birthday. Meanwhile, August 20th is Marvel comic book artist Jack Kirby's birthday, and Stan Lee's birthday is December 28th. The duo created the Scarlet Witch, and then June 2nd was the date Bridget Bishop was the first person to be tried and convicted of witchcraft in Salem.
Nice shout out there. You go, Bridget.
So that kind of wraps up the episode 1 Easter eggs. There's a lot of things when I was putting together these Easter eggs, Kevin, that where normally we have a section 2 where we tie into the comics, but there's so many of these Easter eggs because so many people are new to these characters.
Yeah.
A lot of this story takes place from a late run of Fantastic, an older run of Fantastic Four from way back in the day with Agatha Harkness. They've done some kind of remodernized some of these stories a little bit, but I think what's so fascinating about this is they are pulling some of these obscure characters for Agatha Harkness. But if you're a fan of Agatha Harkness and the witch and like the mystic side of Marvel Comics, you know who these characters are. And it's gonna be very fun to see how they incorporate these characters going forward. But the nice thing is because they're not quite as known as some of the other things, I think they have a little bit more flexibility to modernize them up a little bit and make them fit more into the MCU world. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do there. But while we just covered all the Easter eggs for episode 1, got some Easter eggs for episode 2 because we're going to meet some of our more of our coven in episode 2. So let's get into that. Of course, there we see Agatha along with everybody who's will eventually end up in her coven, I'm believing. But we start off with the first recruit outside of Teen. While assembling the coven, Agatha and Teen meet Lila Caldero. In the Marvel Comics, Lilia is a powerful witch with ties to Wanda Maximoff. Wanda was brought to Lilia by her aunt adoptive mother, Miriam Maximoff. So we get her introduction here. The next is a character I'm actually quite familiar with. I've read several comics with her in it, and she has been around in the Marvel Comics for a long time, and that is Jennifer Kale. Now, here we see the actress playing Jennifer Kale. We see a picture of the actress with the more modern version of Jennifer Kale. Kevin, if you were to look up the older version of Jennifer Kale, I didn't put a picture up here. Very Conan the Barbarian-esque Red Sonja type outfit.
Okay, gotcha.
She used to wear, but Jennifer Kale is a notable character from the Marvel Comics. She's one of the most notorious magic users in the Marvel Universe and was most notably in comics alongside Man-Thing. And if you remember, Kevin, we've actually seen Man-Thing in the MCU in the Werewolf by Night special.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And yes, because this is Agatha All Along, Jennifer does come into contact with Wanda in the comics as well. Now,
played by Sashir Zamata.
Yeah. Now, there was another interesting thing in that conversation that Agatha was having with Jennifer Kale. Jennifer makes a joke that the teen might be another child sacrifice for Agatha. I'm guessing this might be related to her son, Nicholas Scratch. If I were to guess, Agatha sacrificed her son for magic, which would be another reason she saw so much of herself in Wanda, who created a family with magic. So interesting there. And of course, as we continue to grow our coven, we are introduced to Alice Wu Gulliver as another Marvel comic book character. In the comics, Alice and Wanda investigate Dark Tanji, a powerful magician, together. Alice goes by the alias The Wu, and like the show's depiction, she is also a cop. And she was actually introduced in a more modern Marvel Comics series of the Scarlet Witch.
I believe this is the North Point Mall in Georgia. I've been to this mall plenty of times. I used to take Camille there all the time. And I'm like, it's got to be the North Point Mall. I just thought it was so funny the scene in there where I guess she's working security for like a Spencer's gift store. And she gets fired right off the bat after tackling the teen. I thought that was pretty funny.
And of course, even though Agatha ropes Sharon Davis, aka Mrs. Hart, into joining the coven for the Witch's Road, the Black Heart on the list of the coven members probably means Rhea Vidal, considering she made a point to mention her Black Heart in episode 1 too. And what was interesting is Rhea Vidal is supposed to be kind of the Green Witch, the Earth Tide Witch, and of course we see Mrs. Hart with her garden, and they talk about her green thumb when they pull her in. But Kevin, I do want to ask you this just real quick. Obviously, I think Aubrey Plaza will eventually be joining this coven. The question is, do they have bigger plans for Mrs. Hart, Deborah Jo Rupp? Because, I mean, remember, she was manipulated and touched by Wanda's magic energies in WandaVision and pulled into that world as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know how there's usually a character in a group that is kind of the person that has our view as an audience. I feel like Deborah Jo Rupp's character is that person almost. Kind of like the one that's being brought along for the ride and maybe making the observations that we are, or asking the questions we would as fans. So yeah, I'm very curious to see. I love her, Deborah. She's great. And as Mrs. Foreman, of course, in the '70s show, and now in the '90s show. But that was the impression that I got from her.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what's going to happen with that. I think she's there for maybe a little bit of comedy relief for Catherine Hahn to play off. And come on, anytime you can have Deborah Jo Rupp, you get Deborah Jo Rupp.
And then you kind of get the feeling that she's going to be powerful. Like
or something's going to happen.
Yeah. So she's going to have something kind of key and have a little bit of a power shift there or something. So it's just
she's
a gut feeling.
Maybe she's Mephisto, Kevin.
I'm not going to go there, but yeah.
Okay, that is going to wrap up our Easter eggs, but we still got a lot more to do, including some various serious ties to the comics besides the introduction of these characters. So let's shift into phase 3.
That face always tickles.
I've warned you about that. You got to wear that spandex, Kevin. It's required for superhero podcasts. I mine under my shorts. We are, of course, going down the witch's road with Agatha All Along, and we're going to talk about some of the bigger ties to the comic books with certain characters. And there's one character that stands out, and if you've been following it on the internet, people are making a very big, massive speculation, and I'm right aboard on there. And that is with Teen, or as we know him right now. A lot of people are suspecting he is actually the teen hero Wiccan. And Wiccan has some very serious ties to the Scarlet Witch. Kevin, now I want you to take a look at this picture. Do you maybe recognize a certain female archer that is in this picture, Kevin?
Hold on. Yeah, that looks like what's her name?
That is Kate Bishop.
Kate Bishop, yeah.
Who we've also
hold on. I remember you mentioning Wiccan when we were doing the WandaVision podcasts, because you were mentioning the kids had some dealy bob going on.
So Wanda had the two. Wanda Maximoff in the comics had twins, and we'll get to that in a second. And she had twins in WandaVision. Well, in the comics, these twins go by the name of Wiccan and Speed. One has super speed powers like Wanda Maximoff's brother Quicksilver, while Wiccan had powers similar to Wanda herself. Just on the comic book side, recruited into the Young Avengers by Ironland, Wiccan's story includes the discovery that he and fellow teen hero Speed are in fact long-lost twin brothers, and that the pair are reincarnations of the sons of the Scarlet Witch and her husband, the Vision. So they've played up a lot on this. It's been a running thing with the comics. Also, in the comics, the character of Wiccan is also gay. And we see in episode 2 that Teen is gay. And of course, looking at the picture here, we also see where when Agatha tears down the sign, conveniently the letter W is still hanging next to Teen. Now, that
coincidence? I think not. First of all, it's funny. Like, he makes a sign that says "Welcome Coven" with the pentagram in the O, and then she's like, "Oh, let me fix that." Rips it down, and then yes, the W stays.
The other thing, Kevin, and I went back and looked some pictures of it. I couldn't find a real clear picture to put up on here. But you notice how when Teen is talking about himself or says his name, that like squiggly line comes across.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Really take a look at the still of freeze frame go back and freeze frame it. It looks like it's an M, which would mean M for Maximoff.
Okay, I'm glad you didn't say Mephisto.
No. Maybe there's something in there that prevents Agatha from hearing anything ties to the Scarlet Witch as far as him concerned, as part of the spell that she might still be under the influence of. So this is going to be something that's really going to be bear watching. And Kevin, if you think about it, we have had several members of the Young Avengers already established in the MCU. Obviously, Kate Bishop. We've had Patriot's grandson in Falcon and Winter Soldier. Cassie Lang, Scott Ant-Man's daughter, is also a member of the Young Avengers. A version of the Vision, a younger version of the Vision, is part of the Young Avengers. And like we said, we have seen Wiccan's brother, Speed, introduced in WandaVision as well with the two twins. One of the only really remaining characters are Iron Lad, who in the comics was actually a future version of Kang the Conqueror before he became Kang, who was trying to be a hero instead of turning into the
And
villain.
then Kate Bishop was recruited by
Miss Marvel at the end of the Marvels about the Young Avengers initiative.
Yeah.
So Marvel knows what they're doing, and they're setting some things up. So this is going to be very interesting to watch and see what happens there. But the other big tie-in, Kevin, is the Witch's Road. Now, this was something that wasn't added to Marvel Comics until later on. The Witch's Road is significant in a run of the Scarlet Witch comics that are highly regarded as some of the best Marvel comics of the modern era. The Witch's Road storyline is from the Scarlet Witch comics from 2015 and follows Wanda Maximoff, who journeys across the globe trying to fix broken witchcraft.
Can I just say the entrance that is discovered and they go down the stairs while the Salem 7 are like taunting them and trying to come in, and they're forced to go down that really cool winding staircase, and then you get the kind of like, the just, I don't know how to describe it, but the kind of like the day glow, like looking like vines everywhere, and then they see the road, and it looks like a twisted version of the yellow brick road. I thought that was very clever. It looked really cool, visually stunning.
Yeah, and that's one thing with the show. It is visually stunning with these first two episodes. I've talked to several people who watch it, and they're all in on this. They thought it was enjoyable, maybe one of the best things that's been on Disney Plus television for Marvel in a few years. And so, I
thought it was a really good idea to release 1 and 2 back together, or back to back together, because you get to obviously see where Agnes is in this other reality as a grizzled police detective, and then she crawls her way out of that, and then you kind of then see her recruit the team, so to speak, with the mysterious teen, and then start on the road, and that's all we get. I love that.
Yeah, I agree completely. In fact, let's get into some of that. Let's phase shift into phase 4, our final thoughts and maybe some predictions for what's going to happen with Agatha. So let me release a little Tesseract energy. Make sure cover some things up, Kevin. It might be best for you.
I can see my Tesseract over there. It's not moving, so we're good right now.
Yeah, I forgot to get my Captain America my Captain America shield out for this podcast. So I'll have to remember that for next time. So, Kevin, some final thoughts on these first 2 episodes of Agatha All Along, and you have any predictions or things that you're kind of hoping to see in the next few episodes?
I don't have any predictions on because I really don't know what to expect. All I do know is that wait.
Did you just pull that package just like out of the middle of the air there? Were you just exercising some witch power yourself?
I got a package. My dad gave it to me. It showed up to the door. So.
Oh, okay. You had me concerned there for a minute.
Yeah, it's funny. He like drops it right over the screen. It's very funny. Yeah. So, okay. I lost my train of thought there, but thank you, Dad. Appreciate you. So, from what we were kind of teased with the whole witch thing in WandaVision. What's interesting is I'm not going to say I'm going to rewatch WandaVision, but I might go back and maybe watch like the last couple episodes, because I kind of want to see what, be reminded of how that happens. But I like that we're getting into the magic realm on kind of a street level Marvel adventure, as opposed to the cosmic magic realm that we have seen, obviously, from other planets and stuff like that. And I love the fact that part of the Marvel universe has that going for it. And we got a tease of that too, especially with the supernatural, with the wolf by what is it? The wolf by what?
Werewolf by Night.
Yeah, Werewolf by Night. Sorry. Love that one shot. So rewatchable too. And I like, and I want to see more of that, to be honest with you, Kyle. I hope we get more.
I think we're going to see those characters again, but
I hope so. But I'm really curious about how that happens, because being able to connect witchcraft to powers in general with our other characters that we're familiar with and how it affects people, whether it's like wiping their minds or healing people or doing it for like other nefarious reasons. I'm very curious to see how they're going to show people that aren't familiar, like myself, of this comic history and how they're going to not necessarily rewrite it, but like represent, show some representation in a new era, I guess.
You brought up an interesting point because you talked about street level, how this kind of
Hmm.
feels a little street level. Let me ask you this as we wrap up. This is under the Marvel Television banner now, which they just recently set up. I think there was something that came out recently that was also under the Marvel Television banner. I think it was Loki season 2. In fact, I believe that might have been under the Marvel Television banner. They are trying to do a little bit of separation between these TV shows now and the Marvel Studios per se.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let me ask you this: do you think that's the right idea? Because it kind of, I don't want to say lower expectations on Disney Plus shows, but it makes you realize that, hey, we have the budget of the theatrical films. These are probably going to not be on that epic scale that the theatrical films are, compared to when everything was just following under Marvel Studios. Do you think that kind of gives people in the back of their mind that little bit of thought process of looking at these shows a little differently going forward?
Yeah, but it's one of those things where if you get the right people and the right creative forces, I feel like you can have your niche with just the television series. But we've also seen some of the Marvel movies not excel because of the writing and stuff like that. But I feel like, that the Marvel that we see, we call it the MCU for cinematic universe, which usually tends to lend towards movies. But what about the MTU, the Marvel Television Universe? I just made that up, by the way, Kyle.
Mhm.
You know that. I'm going to coin that right now. I'm going to.
Yeah.
Do you
Okay.
think that?
I'll see what I can do about copyright. Yeah, I'll look into that.
The MTU, I like having the MTU available, and because I think that you give people with a good story, good characters, and if that resonates with fans, then the MCU pays attention, going, you know what? Let's graduate that character right on up to the movies. And that was one of the things I noticed with Kate Bishop in the Hawkeye series. Like, Haley Steinfeld just killed that character. And I love the fact that we got an appearance with her at the end of the Marvel movie. And I'm really curious to see where they're going to go with the Young Avengers, because I feel like you could introduce all these cool characters and then let's see how we graduate them to a feature film or something like that.
Yeah. I think too, for me, when I look at this, I think this is a great thing, because I have always said my feeling with Disney Plus, whether it was Star Wars or Marvel, but especially with Marvel, the idea of these shows coming out was to supplement the MCU, tell the kind of stories that they really couldn't put in the theater, but it acted as a supplement and support. It shouldn't be, oh, I have to watch this to understand what's going on. You go back to those original 3 series, WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and the first season of Loki.
Yep.
Especially, I feel like those are all made to either elevate characters or create something that, oh, if I see this in a film, I can go back and watch this, and maybe it clears you up for me, but it's not necessarily watching it. Obviously, Falcon and Winter Soldier really elevated Sam Wilson. I think WandaVision really upgraded the Scarlet Witch and Vision to a higher level.
Yeah.
With that show. The other great thing about this show is that I think it does make people want to go back and watch WandaVision. I know a lot of people who hadn't decided to make a rewatch of WandaVision before this show came out. I also think it's gonna, before it's all said and done, Kevin, it's gonna make people want to go rewatch Multiverse of Madness because of the Scarlet Witch aspects of this show. That are, because the Scarlet Witch is going to be a running theme, I think, through this show, and what her actions have done to the magical community within the MCU. So this is one of those things, we've talked about this before on True Believers. Marvel is very good about doing things after the fact that kind of either redeem or at least up the importance of movies or things that maybe people weren't quite I'm not sure on. They did it with Thor: The Dark World. They've done it with a few other things. I don't know if they can pull it off with Eternals or not, but that's a whole other thing. But I like what they're doing here.
The thing too that is important for me, just as a fan of movies and very creative people and actors, I love Catherine Hahn. I've seen her in a lot of things, and I've loved her in anything. I remember that one scene stealing moment she has in Step Brothers.
Yeah.
And also I loved her in the Bad Mom movies.
Oh, I love those movies.
Yeah, she is just freaking hilarious. And when she comes in and she's like a supporting character, she cooks, she steals her scenes. And I love the fact that this is around her character. I'm really glad that her character shines so well in WandaVision that they're like, someone took notice saying she needs her own show. And that's the thing that I'm most excited about through the rest of this series.
There's one other thing that I'm excited about, Kevin, and actually I think it goes back to Deadpool Wolverine. Well, obviously that was our first R-rated Marvel movie. I really feel like they're doing this show, and even though they are trying to keep it, because it's a TV show, toned down a little bit, but they're not being afraid to take chances. Obviously, Catherine Hahn running around in her birthday suit. I've read where Kevin Feige really had to be sold on that. But the fact that
I think that was Catherine Hahn going, look, I can do this with a little bit of clever hair placement and camera angles. We can do this.
Yeah. But I also think, too, with the possible darkness that this series could have going forward with witchcraft, the Salem aspects of it, the Salem 7, I feel like I'm not going to be kidded down, or they're going to.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. Like they
really
could take some dark turns here and not make it all nice, you know, and TV safe, you know?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I think what Kevin Feige and Bob Iger made the decision to cut down the production of how much Marvel stuff was coming out. If this is going to be the end result where we get things like this and things like Deadpool, Wolverine, and things that just feel like they're fleshed out a little bit more, there's a little bit more deepness to it instead of feeling rushed out. Like I'll be honest with you, I felt like several of the recent Disney Plus things have felt that way, and even a couple of the Marvel films. I think if this is an indication, and obviously we reserve judgment until the whole series is done, but if this is an indication of the direction they're heading, I'm feeling really good, at least of the Marvel Universe getting a step back up. I'm not talking about it getting back to Infinity Saga levels, but definitely making a step up in the right direction again, which has me very excited. I am very excited to see where the show is going to go. Even the things that I've seen some people have some issues with online, I never felt like any of those things were force fed on me or force fed into the storyline, and I really appreciate that aspect of it as well. Overall, Kevin, I love these first 2 episodes, and I am much more excited about this series than I was coming into it, because I was a little skeptical because this could have gone off really silly, and so far it hasn't, and I hope they stay upon this path.
Yeah, definitely. Agreed.
So with that, Kevin, it looks like Agatha's telling us we better wrap this up. You know, she kind of scares me a little too.
Yeah, she does.
Good in the hat. She does look good in the hat.
And fantastic voice. But let's see where she hits the road with the rest of her covering crew next week.
Yeah, and we will be there covering it, because we are covering everything that is Agatha All Along here on True Believers. We are so glad to be back and talking the MCU and Marvel television, and it's exciting time, because I really think we are finally headed in a direction that a lot of people are going to thoroughly enjoy. This is the True Believers podcast here on the Fandom Podcast Network. You can find, of course, if you're watching here on YouTube, or if you're listening on one of our many podcast feeds, whether it's our homepage at fpnet.podbean.com or any of those amazing podcast catchers out there, whether it's iTunes, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify. We appreciate you listening. We're glad to be talking the MCU. Kevin, where can people find you on social media?
You can find me on Spartan_Phoenix on all of the socials, which include, of course, X, Instagram, Threads, Letterboxd, Discord. And please, I just want to remind people too, please go to the Fandom Podcast Network on YouTube. Please watch the video, subscribe, share it out. And also check out our True Believers Facebook group as well. We got a lot of fun Marvel stuff we've been sharing there as well. How can we find you, Kyle?
You can find me, of course, all over the Fandom Podcast Network as well, with all of our great shows. And we got some over the next couple of weeks. We got some very exciting things coming out. Some great couch potato theaters, Return to Time Warp. We're going to have a very fun Culture Clash, continuing our time travel year. And of course, we will have this coming out in our coverage of everything Agatha. And also, too, I got to give you a special shout out. You have been kicking butt on Union Federation, which is our Star Trek and Orville podcast cover. We've been doing a very special series on all the 2-parters of Star Trek: The Next Generation. And Kevin, you've just been kicking butt on that, and those have been wonderful shows. If you have not checked those out yet, find them on our YouTube channel.
Thank you.
Especially fun to watch on the YouTube channel with all of the visuals you've come up with that. So check those out. If you like us on YouTube, like, subscribe, please share us out. Like I said, Kevin, you have done a masterful job on those.
Thank you. Yeah, talking Star Trek Next Generation is fun, but we've been having a lot of fun covering those 8 2-part episodes throughout the 7 seasons.
But luckily here at the Fandom Podcast, we have the best of both worlds because we can talk Star Trek and we can talk Agatha All Along. This has been episode 82 of True Believers. It has been great to get back into the MCU, and we can't wait to see where this coven and the trip down the Witch's Road is going to lead us. Kevin, you better not be purpley by the end of this run. That's all.
No guarantees. No guarantees. Going down the road.
Yeah. That's what I kind of figured.
I'm taking the purple pill.
Yeah. I don't want to say anything more, but with that, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed watching the show or listening to the show. We will be back for episode 3 of Agatha All Along. And until then, as always, Excelsior, True Believers, and make ours marvel.